This is maybe the most important thing to know about living right now in the 21st century, that we are now hackable animals. We have the technology to decipher how humans, or what you think, what you want, to predict human choices, to manipulate human desires in ways which were never possible before. Then you can predict, you can manipulate, you can eventually also re-engineer or replace. If you really hack a system, really understand how it functions, then usually you can also re-engineer it, or you can completely replace it. And again, one of the dangers that we are facing today in the 21st century is that computers and AI would be able to replace humans in more and more tasks and maybe push millions of humans out of the job market as a result. The thing about this ability to hack humans is that it has also potentially tremendous positive consequences, and this is why it's so tempting. If it was only bad, then it would have been like an easy deal to say, okay, we don't want that, and let's stop researching or going in that direction. But it is extremely tempting, because it can provide us, for example, with the best healthcare in history. Something which goes far beyond anything we have seen so far. This can mean that maybe in 30 years, the poorest person on the planet can get a better healthcare from her or his smartphone than the richest person today gets from the best hospitals and the best doctors. The kind of things you can just know about what's happening in your body is nothing like we've seen so far. You know, from very ancient times, all the philosophers and saints and sages tell people to get to know yourself better. It's one of maybe the most important thing in life is to get to know yourself better. But for all of history, this was a process of self-exploration, which you did through things like meditation and maybe sports and maybe art and contemplation and all these things. What does it mean when the process of self-exploration is being outsourced to a big data algorithm? Again, the philosophical implications are quite mind-boggling. I mean, today, when you need to diagnose cancer, there are exceptions, but in most cases, there is a crucial moment when you feel something is wrong in my body. And you go to this doctor and that doctor and you do this test and that test until they finally realize, okay, we just discovered you have cancer in your liver or whatever. But because it relies on your own feelings, in this case feelings of pain, very often it's quite late in the process. By the time you start feeling pain, usually the cancer has spread. And maybe it's not too late, but it's going to be expensive and painful and problematic to treat it. But if we can, outsource this, don't go through the mind, through my feelings. I want an algorithm that with biometric sensors is monitoring my health 24 hours a day without my being aware of it. It can potentially discover this liver cancer when it is just a few cells are beginning to split and to spread. And it's so easy and cheap and painless to take care of it now, instead of 2 years later, when it's already spread and it's a big problem. So this is something that I think almost everybody would sign on to. The first thing they should realize is that nobody really knows. Nobody really knows how the job market would look like in 2040. So they should be suspicious of all these kinds of advices by people who pretend that they know what the job market would need in 20 years. The best investment, I would say, is in emotional intelligence and in mental balance and these kinds of skills of how to keep changing throughout your life, how to keep learning throughout your life. Now, how do you learn that? That's very, very difficult. We don't have a college degree in mental flexibility. But these are the most important tools. So whatever you choose, you can go to law school, you can go to ballet school, but you should keep in mind that much of what I'm learning might be irrelevant in 20 or 30 years. So whatever else I'm doing I should also invest in developing my emotional intelligence, my mental balance, my ability to keep changing and learning and reinventing throughout my life. So maybe to give an image or a metaphor, if in the past education was like building a stone house with very deep foundations, now I would say that education is more like constructing a tent that you can fold up and move to another location very quickly and easily.